Hello and welcome to my studio. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this picture. This picture is actually a composite of two separate exposures. One for the main subject and one for the steam rising from the coffee. The two separate captures were then combined in Photoshop to produce the final picture. And in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Okay. So this is the subject that I've got set up on this table, and I've got a cup here, some coffee beans and a coffee grinder. Right, now I'm going to capture this image with a Phase 1 IXA 180 true medium format digital camera. Now this has 80 megapixel resolution. The camera is also capable of having a huge dynamic range. Now this camera has one of the largest physical sensors of any digital camera. It's approximately 2.5 times the area of a normal full-frame digital camera. And I've been lucky enough to have this loaned to me by an aerial imaging company. Okay. On the front of this there is an 80mm Schneider Lens, which is roughly the equivalent of 50mm on a full frame camera. Okay, so I'm going to pop the camera on this tripod like this. I'm going to plug it into Capture One software so that we can see the results. There we go. So Capture One has recognized the camera, and I can use this software to now control all the aspects of the camera, the shutter speed and the aperture, etc. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, just with the house lights, I'm just going to capture an image just to see what we get as a result. So these are the settings that's on the camera at the moment. So it's a 30th of a second for the shutter speed, ISO 100, and an aperture of f8. So with those settings, I'll just grab an image. And you can see from this image that we have an exposure just with the house lights, which does mean that when I come to do the proper images, if you like, I will need to turn the house lights out. Otherwise, this amount of exposure will contaminate the finished image. Okay, so with that exercise done, it's now time to light the subject properly. So I'll just move this light into position. Here we are. This is an LED continuous light. So I can just turn that on like this. There we go. And this has the ability to change its color temperature at will. So at the moment it's set to 5600. Or I can take it all the way up to 10,000, or all the way down to 2,800. So I'm going to leave it at daylight, which is 5,600. There we go. Okay, so with this light on, illuminating the subject there, what I can do is I'll just grab another image and we'll see what that's done to the exposure. Okay, well that's brought the exposure up a little, but it's also showing the quality of the light that we're getting at the moment. And it's all a bit hard. The shadows are very hard. It's not really the sort of thing which will suit this subject, I don't think. So I want to soften that off a little. So the way that I'm going to soften that off is use a little bit of this filter. This is a 216 diffusion filter. And all I'm going to do is just clip this to the barn doors of the light. And I'll just spread the barn doors out just like that to make the light source a little bigger. And that's going to give me a softer result. Okay, so with that in place, let's grab that again. Okay, so we can see that the diffusion material has actually taken some of the light intensity away, so what I can do is compensate by increasing the exposure. So I'll just add a stop on for now and see what that looks like. Yeah, it's starting to get there. One of the other things, which is a curiosity of using this particular camera, is that it does need to be calibrated. So I'm going to use this color checker just to calibrate for this light. So I'm just going to place that in here, just like that. Just grab an image and use that image to calibrate the system. So by using the software here, I can just place the cursor over a known grey patch and just click the mouse, and that will recalibrate the system. And this is a very accurate way of doing that. Okay, so with that done, what I can do is remove the color checker from the scene. I think I will increase the exposure a little more as well. So we'll go from a 15th to, what shall we try, an 1/8. There, that's brought it all up a little. Yes, so this is now starting to get there, I think. So if I just zoom in to 100%, and we have a look around the image, it is all very nice, very crisp. But the quality of the shadows, again, aren't quite there for what I want. And the highlights in the cup that I've got here are a little harsh. So I think I'd like to soften all those bits off a little. And the way that I'm going to do that is with a 1/4 stop silk. And I'm going to place that on a frame just above here. So to support the frame, I'll use this C-stand. So this is a 1/4 stop silk in a frame, and I'll just pop this on the top of this C-stand, like so. And I think we'll need to put that in the air slightly. So I'll just bring that up, swing it into position. There we go. Something like that anyway. Now if I've got that in anything like the right place, that should give me the required softness. Okay, so let's just grab that. There, and you can see that that has changed the quality of the light quite markedly. If I go back to the previous image, this is what we had before, and this is what we've got now. It's also taken some of the intensity out, so I will just change the shutter speed here to compensate for that. We'll go to 1/4 and see what that's like. Obviously I've got the edge of the frame in the shot here, but I don't really think that will matter too much. Okay, so that's brought the exposure up, but it's also showing quite a lot of flare. So to get rid of that flare, what I'm going to do is just flag the light off a little, just with a piece of card. And I'm literally just going to place the card just on the top of the camera like this. There we are. So with that in position, we'll grab it again and see what happens this time. Good, so that's got rid of all of that flare, and you can actually see the card across the top here. But again, I don't really think that will matter too much for the finished picture. So I think we're probably at the stage now where we need to turn the house lights out and fine-tune the exposure, etc. Okay, so with the house lights now out, I'll just grab this image again and we'll see what difference that makes. Yes, that has made quite a large difference. If I go back to the previous image, that was with the house lights on, and this is with the house lights out. And just for completeness, what I'm going to do is just check the calibration for colour, just to make sure I didn't get any casts because of the house lights. and just use the software to set a white balance. There we go. Yeah, that's good enough for me. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So with that exercise done, what I can do is get rid of the color checker out of the image and just capture the subject. Good. So we have a nice black at the back here. What I'm going to do is just zoom all the way in, and we'll just have a look at the focus point, which looks like it's in the right place to me. Okay. So with all those preliminary actions now complete, it's time to fill the cup with coffee and capture the actual image that we're going to use in the final picture. There we are. So with the addition of the coffee in the cup, this part of the image creation process is now complete. The next stage would be to swap out the coffee in the cup for very hot water, which will give a vapor trail above it. And it's that vapor trail which will appear as steam in the finished image. So there we are. I've swapped out the cup of coffee for an empty cup, and now I'm just going to relight that so that I can bring out all of the vapor coming off the hot water when I add it. And to do that, I'm going to use this continuous LED light at the back here. Just going to bring that round and just focus that right onto the coffee cup, like so. Now with that light in place, I can dispense with this one. So we'll turn this one out. And without the hot water added, I'll just grab a picture and we'll see what we get. Okay, so we can see from this that we're getting quite a lot of flare in here. And the background is staying relatively dark over at this side, which is what I want. So to stop the flare, I'm just going to remove that piece of card and just place it at the side of the camera instead. So hopefully, if I get this in something like the right position, I should be able to just hold that in place and just grab an image. There we are, that seems to have done it. So by using the piece of card, I've been able to cut out quite a lot of the flare. Excellent. Okay, so with that, we're ready now for some hot water. So very carefully, I'll just add some hot water to the cup. There we go. So card in place, and we'll grab an image. There we are. It's always worth grabbing a few of these. There, that should be enough. Okay. So now with those two elements captured, it just remains to go into Photoshop and combine the two. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and I've loaded up the two files of the images that I captured earlier. So this is the one of the coffee, and this is the one of the vapor or steam rising off the hot water. So to prepare these two images for editing, what I'm going to do is just make a stack of those two files. So go to File, come down to Scripts, down to Load Files into Stack, and just ask the software to add the open files. Click OK. So that has now made me this new file at the top here, which has these two layers in it. So if I just pop that one on the top like that, that is the vapor, and this one is the coffee. Okay. So with those two in a new file, I can dispense with the camera originals and this is what I'm going to edit. Right, so the first thing that I want to do then is just merge these two layers together. And to help me do that, I'm just going to change the blending mode from normal to lighten. There we are. And that has now taken all of the light parts from this layer and added them to the bottom layer. But it's taken everything, and I don't want everything, I just want the steam. So all I need to do is add a layer mask to this layer. So if I just do that, like so, and I'm just going to invert that so it hides everything. And now wherever I paint in white on this mask, that will reveal that part of the image. So just with a white paintbrush, just above the cup here, I can just paint in the steam rising, like so. There. And I think that's worked quite effectively. Okay, so I might want to just take the whole of that back a little, and the way to do that is just to change the opacity for that particular layer. So as I take this down, it just reduces the intensity of the steam. I think I just want to take it back a little bit, something like that. Now, just finally, if I just zoom in, you'll see we no longer have a full cup of coffee in here. So what I need to do is just very carefully manipulate this layer to bring the coffee back. That's the coffee layer, if you like, and that's with the steam added. So again, I just need to change this mask ever so slightly. So I'll change to black and find my paintbrush, and this time I'm going to use quite a small paintbrush, which is relatively hard. And with this one, I can just go around the edge here and just paint in the edge of the cup. There we are. So finally, I can just change this from lighten back to normal again and just have a good look at the image and just check that it's all working fine, which I think it is. There, okay. I'll just zoom back out. And finally, I just want to get rid of this part of the table here. We don't really need that in the image. So I'm just going to add a new layer. And on this layer, I'm just going to paint this area out in black. So I'll just select black as the foreground color. And a paintbrush. And just zoom in. Here we are. And if I just pick two spots and then hold down the Shift key and click the mouse, that will just draw a straight line between the two. So it's fairly easy to do this. And there's our final image. So to finish that off, I'll just pick a crop. I'm using this for video, so I'm just going to use a specific ratio of 16:9. And just bring the edges in a little, just to concentrate the image. There we are. Just click on the commit button. And there we have it. So by carefully combining the two images together, I've ended up with a result which has the best parts of both of them. And also that allows me to change the lighting style completely between each capture. So I think all in all that's made a very nice final image. Okay, well I hope you liked watching how I made that picture, and if you like watching these sort of things, do click on the other images as they appear, and don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and click the like button. Thank you very much for watching.